Do you think the Negro students ever will get in here?
I think they'll get in here, but I don't know how long they'll live after they do get in here. That's my honest opinion. I'm talking to you, giving you my honest opinion. Because they cannot keep the police out here always. I don't think they got any business in here to start with.
Well, what if the president brings in federal troops?
I don't think the president has, under the Constitution, the president has any authority to send in federal troops unless our governor asks for it. They're taking all of the state rights away from the states when they do a thing like that. That's only my opinion of it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the television and radio audience. In view of the decisions I have made, I think it is well to review for the people of the state and the nation some of the background in the tense situation which has now developed relative to the forcible integration of the public schools of Little Rock. Telephone calls have come to me at the mansion in a constant stream, and the expressions of all are the fear of disorder and violence and of the harm that may occur on the morrow in this attempt at forcible integration of Central High School. Units of the National Guard have been and are now being mobilized with the mission to maintain or restore the peace and good order of this community. Advanced units are already on duty on the grounds of Central High School. And in conclusion, let me state, for all to hear and to heed, the public peace will be preserved. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
think, sir, ought to be done in the event of the courts order integration? In what way might you and those who feel like you oppose it?
Well, sir, I'm going to have to say that, first of all, I believe that the control of the school should be left up to the states. Therefore, you'd call me a states' righter, and that's what I am, sir. I don't believe that the federal government should have any control over our public state schools.
United States District Judge Ronald Davies, in a court session at night that lasted only 4 minutes, has reaffirmed his ruling that integration must commence at Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, despite the apparent opposition of Governor Orval Faubus of Arkansas. This is what the judge said during the session.
His words spell sedition. His defiance, rebellion. His words and action echo another period in our history when irresponsible men plunged this nation into a tragic civil war. The President of the United States can no longer ignore the gravity of the situation. Time for realistic action is long since delayed. The issue of integration has become secondary. The security and prestige of the United States of America paramount.
The events of the past 2 weeks at Central High School here have placed Little Rock on the world map as the center of the fight for racial segregation. This was an unlikely city for such a reputation. Geographically, Little Rock is a southern community, but it gives the impression of being something else, of being far closer to a border state city. Little Rock had proceeded quietly and successfully with integration of its public transportation facilities. There was no fuss and no problem, although Negroes still tend to ride in the back of the buses. But otherwise, the southern pattern of racial division applies to the city. Theaters are for whites only or for Negroes only, or have segregated seating arrangements. Restrooms are segregated. Public sports events have special seating facilities.
Carlotta Walls, she's one of the students. Are you planning to go to school on Monday?
Yes, I am.
You are.
The guards are.
If the guards are not there,
Oh, if they're there, they'll be on outside.
is that right? You're confident of that?
Well, yes.
You hope so?
Yes.
Fine. Thank you very much. Yes, and are you going to offer these children any special measures of protection inside or outside the school as superintendent of schools?
We offer them the same protection we do all other students.
Are you confident that you will be able to deliver a day's education to all the students at Central High starting on Monday?
We are most hopeful of that. We believe we will be.
A major part of the responsibility for the disgraceful developments in Little Rock yesterday must rest squarely upon the shoulders of Governor Faubus. By his handling of this situation, by his calling out the National Guard in the first instance, he actually tended to invite the very developments that occurred, because the idea of violence was inevitably planted in the minds of people who otherwise might very well not.
Now let me make it very clear that federal troops are not being used to relieve local and state authorities of their primary duty to preserve the peace and order of the community. Nor are the troops there for the purpose of taking over the responsibility of the school board and other responsible local officials in running Central High School. The running of our school system and the maintenance of peace and order in each of our states are strictly local affairs, and the federal government does not interfere except in very special cases and when requested by one of the several states. In the present case, the troops are there pursuant to law solely for the purpose of preventing interference with the orders of the court. The proper use of the powers of the executive branch to enforce the orders of a federal court is limited to extraordinary and compelling circumstances. Manifestly, such an extreme situation has been created in Little Rock. This challenge must be met, and with such measures as will preserve to the people as a whole their lawfully protected rights in a climate permitting their free and fair exercise. The overwhelming majority of our people in every section of the country are united in their respect for observance of the law, even in those cases where they may disagree with that law. They deplore the call of extremists to violence. And so, with deep confidence, I call upon the citizens of the state of Arkansas to assist in bringing to an immediate end all interference with the law and its processes. If resistance to the federal court order ceases at once, the further presence of federal troops will be unnecessary, and the city of Little Rock will return to its normal habits of peace and order, and a blot upon the fair name and high honor of our nation in the world will be removed. Thus will be restored the image of America and of all its parts as one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good night, and thank you very much.
It's early morning here at 1121 Cross Street in Little Rock, and a new school day is dawning.
Melba? Yes, Mother? You'd better hurry. You're going to be late for school. Here I come.
As usual, the girl in the family is running a little late. The girl is Melba Pattillo, 15 years old and a very new junior at Little Rock Central High. Melba's mother, a teacher in a segregated high school herself, has breakfast on the run, ready and waiting for Melba. On the surface, just like another school day, but this is only Melba's second day in newly integrated Central High.
We are now an occupied territory. Evidence of the naked force of the federal government is here apparent in these unsheathed bayonets in the backs of schoolgirls. In the backs of students. And in the bloody face of this railroad worker who was bayoneted and then felled by the butt of a rifle in the hands of a sergeant of the United States 101st Airborne Division. There can be no question of the supremacy of the United States Army when used against a defenseless state. Therefore, we must continue our peaceful pursuits of life, being good citizens, as the overwhelming majority of our people have always been. I've been working and fighting for the right of my people to solve their problems peacefully. This, as we know, requires time and patience. I shall continue unrelentlessly on this course.
What's this all about?
Well, certain groups have voiced their opinions that the school should be reopened even if it's on an integrated basis, and we just think that we still have the majority of the people behind us backing Faubus and wanting segregated schools.
Keep the school closed and open it integrated, right?
We're willing to leave them closed a little bit longer if Faubus can help us, and we think he can.
You pinning everything on him?
Yes.
You think most of the kids in all the high schools feel this way?
Yes, sir.
Do you think you can? Suppose this were a long fight. Suppose it meant no school for a year. You still feel the same way?